Hi everyone. Welcome to Shoryucan. My name is Rick.
My name is Grayson.
Hey Grayson.
Wow. Hey guys.
This is Kirk. He's our assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is Shoryucan. Thanks for joining us tonight. We are professional consulting fighting game coaches. We are very talented fighters. I got my career. I started playing fighting games at MAGFest 4, actually, my very first tournament, and I have skyrocketed to fame.
And now he's
ever
back.
since.
So.
It's true. But tonight we're going to demonstrate fighting game basics. We typically kind of do stuff. We work with a lot of professionals, a lot of the pro players, a lot of sponsored players. But we thought we would come to MAGFest and kind of engage the larger community and kind of pass along some tips.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, fighting games are more popular now than ever. And we thought we'd stop by MAGFest. This is my third one. This is Rick's eighth? Yeah, wow. And we would do some pro bono work. So, who here would consider themselves like kind of a casual newbie sort of player? A lot. Wow.
Cool, that's awesome.
You guys are in for a treat because we've got a lot of great tips. Who here is more of like, oh, I go to a tournament every now and then. I'm pretty experienced. All right, we got a good mix, right?
Awesome.
Well, good news because we've got stuff for both of you, mostly newer players though. But you know what? If you've been playing for a while, you should still listen up. It never hurts to refresh some of the basics, and we do work with a lot of pros, so we'll have some great tips for you too.
So why don't we just jump into it?
Yeah, let's just jump in.
We have a question. It looks like.
Oh.
What pro do you work with?
Oh, we'll tell you later. It's fine.
Yeah.
We don't want to.
His name rhymes with Mike Boss.
You mean fraud?
Like Ross?
No, I'm just playing.
The people's team.
All right.
Why don't we do it?
Yeah, let's
get
get
Let's
going.
get some basics here.
So when we're talking about Street Fighter or any other game, these games share certain ideas and terminology that you kind of need to understand if you want to really perform well and get better. You might have heard people refer to these ideas as fundamentals, but we're going to use the more technical term fundies. Fundies, remember that. Very important. And even experienced players should brush up on their fundies from time to time. We're not going to go into every single detail. There are quite a few fundies out there, but we're going to cover some of the most important concepts through Street Fighter 4. We have this set up right here. As you can see, Ryu and Ken are on screen. They're both strong, versatile characters, and they can demonstrate pretty much any concept you want, any fundy in the game. Thanks to moves like the Hadouken, they got a bunch of great normals, and of course, they both have Shoryucans, which is pretty much the most powerful move in the game and the namesake of our panel.
Very powerful.
So as you can see, we set up this training mode. We're both, and Kirk, are experienced players, so don't be intimidated if what we do seems really like flashy or fancy, because you know what? The whole point of this is so you can get to our level someday. And if you don't think you can, our friend Kirk has something to say to you.
Sure you can.
So why don't we start with a really basic offensive concept, pressure.
Let's do it.
Simply put, pressure is the act of being aggressive, forcing your opponent to respond to your actions, and hopefully make a mistake. You want to apply pressures in ways that are really difficult to respond to, really, fast moves or complicated moves. So why don't we just demonstrate some really basic pressure from Ken. Kirk, can you do something? Some great Ken pressure?
I'm Ryu.
Oh, you're Ryu?
Yep.
Oh, you're Ryu.
Shit.
Can you do that? Wow. Wow. I would describe that as unstoppable. We call this Shoryucan pressure, and it's among the most potent applications of pressure in the game. You notice at the end, Rick, who's playing Ken, he was so afraid that he just let Ryu walk up and throw him. Like he couldn't do anything.
Can do it.
And even like walking forward with Ryu can be a form of pressure. But I think you all get the idea. Let's move on to the next fundy. So the next fundy is what we call a setup. And you might consider a setup a method of applying pressure. Several advanced concepts fall under setups, like who here has heard the term frame trap? Right? Yeah, frame trap.
Yeah, frame traps.
So yeah, you can think of it as sort of the general umbrella category that includes those. You can also think of a setup as like a play in sports. Does anybody here play sports?
Any sports.
Baseball?
Any
basketball,
sports.
Any
sports.
So a couple. Okay. It's not the most helpful analogy, but so yeah. But in short, a setup is a series of offensive moves that is really difficult to react to, or which really limits the way that the opponent can react to them. So Rick, why don't you with Ken show us a cross-up setup? And a cross-up, if you don't know, is a jumping attack that hits behind, so it's really difficult to block. He did it. He did it, guys. Yeah, there we go. Setups are a really great opportunity to be creative, explore your character, explore your personal play style, and they're an important fundamental because they really let you reliably kind of do high damage combos. Like you just saw that one that ended with a Shoryucan, like devastating. Jesus.
Sorry.
The next fundy, very similar to a setup, is a mix-up. And a mix-up is a situation where you're positioned to do a variety of moves that the opponent has to respond to in different ways. Like the opponent basically has to guess what you'll do. So the most basic mix-up concept that Ken can demonstrate is a high-low mix-up, where you either attack high, like that, and that move has to be blocked high. Or you can do a low attack, like a sweep.
Nope, one low.
And that has to be blocked low. So in most games, characters also can perform a throw in close ranges. Unblockable, and adds another kind of option in close range. Ryu and Ken have very powerful mix-up tools because they both also have the Shoryucan. So why don't, let's see, Kirk, you're playing Ryu, right?
Yep.
Why don't you try and, let's see, why don't you try and do something to Ryu?
Okay, so I'm gonna
Just try,
go in on him?
try and get in on him.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, hold on.
All right, Ken's gonna try and attack.
I can't do it.
You can't do it?
No. If I get too close, he has this incredible Shoryucan.
Oh
Man, I'll
man.
just get wrecked.
Did you guys see that setup? Yeah. So yeah,
He's in my head, man.
yeah. So you get Rick's completely frustrated. He can't get in, and that's because Ryu could do a Shoryucan at any time, whenever he wants. Look at that. And you know what? This brings us to a really great high-level competitive tip. You know, you might see some of our clients use this one. When you successfully combine pressure, which we've talked about, with mix-ups, you get what we call a vortex. So when you play as Ken or Ryu, here's a great tip. Why don't you try performing Shoryukans completely at random? Just throwing them out there. Don't wait for anything, don't respond to anything.
At the same time.
Now that's what happens, now we call this a Shoryucan vortex. You see what happens when they collide. That's really devastating. But, okay, so that's some good offensive fundies, right? Let's move on to one with some defensive applications as well. We're going to talk about zoning. Zoning is a term you'll hear a lot, and it requires a little bit of explanation. Zoning is basically restricting and threatening space on the battlefield to restrict your opponent's options or to provoke them into making a mistake. A really great example would be Ryu and Ken's Hadouken, right? Look at that, it's pretty great. It's a great zoning tool because they can throw it at any time. It covers the whole stage in front of them. So it's a great zoning tool. It forces the opponent to do something. It restricts how they can move forward. And really, it might be the best example of zoning in the game if they didn't also have Shoryukans. Because, I mean, just look at this. I mean, do a light punch Shoryucan with Ken. Like, that's pretty good, right? It covers in front of him and above him.
Pretty good.
Why don't you show us a high punch Shoryucan?
Ready?
Yeah.
Ah!
That is like half the screen. You can't do anything. It's amazing. So yeah, zoning, very important. The next concept is resource management. All fighting games have different resources you have to manage. The most important, you see at the top, is life. Because what's the goal? Is to reduce your opponent's life to 0 or have more life at the end of the match when the timer reaches 0, which is really difficult because it's set to infinity right now. But these are mostly the only ways you can win, with the exception of some games that have like rings. And most games have a sort of like super meter. You can see a couple at the bottom there. Marvel also has hypermeters. King of Fighters has a bunch of bullshit that I don't know about. And these let you use special moves, hyper moves, EX moves, all sorts of great stuff, And it's really game dependent, so you kind of have to learn whatever game you're playing. But let's Kurt, a really great, really efficient use of meter, right? With Ryu?
Yep.
All right, this is a really good combo, really great use of meter.
It's 2 Shoryukans.
That's 2 Shoryukans for 3 special bars.
Can't stop it.
Yeah. Can you think of any other character who can do 2 Shoryukans in a row? No, you can't. And so, if you're playing Street Fighter, high-level competitive tip, do that combo. So the next thing, we kind of touched on this a little bit, is the timer. Did someone say what combo? There's a 2-hit combo, man. What do you mean, what? Shut up.
What question?
Oh, a question? I don't know. Let's find out, Rick.
No, I can't.
No. All right. So let's stick with Ryu. The next thing is the timer. This is a very important fundamental thing to learn about. Sort of. I mean, technically, when it reaches 0, the game's over, but we actually did the calculations. In 99 seconds, you can perform almost 50 Shoryukens. So that's enough to not only defeat one person, that's enough to defeat 10 average opponents in 99 seconds. So why you would do anything else, I don't know. So be aware the timer's there, but you don't need it. Don't worry about it. So let's leave these two to play some real Street Fighter. They've been really helpful. Give them a round, everybody. We'll let them spar a bit. There's a lot more to consider with fundies. I think we covered some of the most important ones, but they're really important to get your mitts around, get comfortable with them. Because once you do that, you get a lot more comfortable with the game. Play more confidently, play more patiently. You really dig in, you get better. And this might sound like a lot, but it might sound like all this information to take in. But if you don't think you can learn all of this, our friend Kirk has another thing to tell you.
Sure you can.
So now you got fundies, everybody. You did it. Fundamentals are something you can practice and understand on your own time, but fighting games are great because they're intended to be played with other people. So, Rick, where do you find these other people?
That's an excellent question, Grayson. Most genres of video games encourage a surrounding community, but fighting games kind of stand apart from that. They attract a crowd that isn't typically involved in video game culture, because even the most complicated fighting games focus almost exclusively on head-to-head combat. There have been fighters over time that kind of break away from that tradition. It's from a single-player experience. But otherwise, fighting games have kind of stuck to one simple idea. You have two people, they're in a room, they're going to hit each other until somebody wins. And this format for competitive gaming fit in really well with the localized arcades near the 90s when it kind of blew up. But the main difference between our era of fighting games and eras past is that we now have this strong, heavily networked online community to trade information. New tech is discovered and circulated faster than ever, which means games can evolve very quickly. For example, when infinite combos were initially discovered in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, a patch was quickly released to kind of fix them. And then shortly after that, when more infinite combos were found in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, they patched them out with an update. And to this day, infinite combos continue to be patched out of Marvel vs. Capcom 3. But games don't just evolve with patch updates. They also evolve with player strategies. In 1987, when the very first Street Fighter was released in arcades, special moves were intentionally kept secret. There was no move list printed on the arcade cabinet like we've all seen with Street Fighter 2. You have the moves and stuff. So your Hadokens or Shoryukens, that was all secret. People had to discover those inputs on their own. They had to decide if they wanted to share this information with their friends or if they wanted to keep this advantage to themselves.
Rick, have you ever thought about what it was like in 1987 for the first person who discovered the Shoryuken? You're playing at the arcade and it just comes out and there it is.
How did I do that?
Yeah.
I still get that sometimes.
Yeah, it's always kind of I get butterflies sometimes.
Oh, my goodness.
Have you ever thought, what would you do? It's 1987, you're playing Street Fighter 1, you discover this powerful technique. Do you keep it for yourself, or do you spread it to the community that's starting to form?
I don't think that any one player was meant to wield that much power, so I think I would have had to give it away.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you think you would have done?
I'd try to keep it, but I think you're right. I don't think you can. I mean, it's too much. It would get out. Kirk, what would you do?
What would you do? Well, of course, other people feel the same way because the mighty Shoryucan was too powerful to contain. Word of this new destructive punching technique just caught on like wildfire. Everyone ended up hearing about it, and that's why we all have inputs printed on arcade machines. But modern fighting game players don't need to rely on word of mouth at the pizza place to learn more about their favorite games. There's a ton of fan-run fighting game websites that have kind of risen to prominence in the community over the last few years. And they're all excellent resources for fighting game fans. We'll name a few. They're all great resources, and for those of you who do enter tournaments and stuff, these are not new names to you. But if you're new, you want to commit some of these to memory. There's a lot of stuff out there. So you have iPlayWinner and Event Hubs. Those are really great places for the more popular stuff. You can get strategy guides, all the modern competitive fighting games are there. You have websites like Dustloop and Dream Cancel that kind of focus on more niche titles for stuff that you really wouldn't be able to find as easily anywhere else. But of course, the most popular fighting game website, kind of the major community hub is Shoryucan. It's a great website. Just search for Shoryucan in Google and it'll come up. It's a really good website. Give it a look. But each of these sites offer a number of resources and you should try to take advantage of all of them. You can find strategy guides with character analysis, like advanced, system mechanics. You can find combo videos and match replays. You can find online forums to talk to other players. And that's really important. Use those resources. It's your best way to connect with your local scene. You can usually find information on local meetups and tournaments where you can kind of challenge yourself, meet new players. And if you can't make it to the events, it's okay. The online and offline resources for this community kind of exist side by side, and that's why it's gotten so strong. So if you can't make it to a tournament, you can watch the stream online. Most of these events, kind of big and small.
There's a really important rule to remember, though.
Yeah.
If you're gonna watch streams, this is no joke.
Oh yeah. So
this is.
If you do watch these streams, if you can't, try to go to the tournaments if you can.
Yeah.
But if you can't, you can watch the stream. But there's one important rule.
It's very important.
Don't read the stream chat. Don't close it. Don't go into the stream chat.
There's an X you can click.
Don't.
Yeah.
Stream chat was a good idea at first, and it made a lot of sense. Yeah, let people talk to each other while they watch online streams. It's a simple idea. But like most well-intentioned internet features, stream chat became something far more sinister. It's just a festering den filled with the worst personalities emerging from the darkest corners of the fighting game world. These people remain nameless, lost souls, but the community has given them a name.
Shoryucan?
Stream monsters. They are stream monsters. We're talking about stream monsters, and they are a special mutant strain of your typical internet troll.
Very scary.
Very scary. They live in online stream chat. They exist only to troll stream commentators and viewers. They can be anywhere. They can look like anyone. In fact, we here at Shoryucan, do we have some stream monsters in the house?
Raise your hand if you're a stream monster.
Thanks for sitting in the back. That
Yeah.
says something. But we have, we're very skilled, and we have caught and tamed a wild stream monster who is here to join us today. Come on over, Kirk. Come on, that's okay. Kirk here is a recovering stream monster. He has agreed to help us demonstrate some ways to identify. Do you want to keep going?
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Okay. He's a little shy.
He's going to help. So Kirk here is going to demonstrate what it's like to be a wild stream monster. He's just going to kind of show us. So it's okay. You can let loose in front of me here. You're safe. So as you can see, the wild nature of the stream monster is truly terrifying. Stream monsters are, although once you know what to look for, stream monsters are easy to identify, and they exhibit these distinct characteristics. So if you watch Kirk here, just watch very closely. Kirk is constantly attempting to distract stream commentators from announcing their match. Just constant distractions. You're not going to get me this time. He's entirely unforgiving of players who, no matter how skilled they are, or no matter how good the match was, completely unforgiving of mistakes. He's derogatory and hostile towards any and all female, gay, lesbian, or transgender players. He can't help it. He just immediately starts spouting out garbage slurs, completely unable to consider these players as real people. It's disgusting. And as demonstrated right here, he does not interact, stream monsters don't interact with their community in any real capacity. They just don't go to events, they don't try to connect with people. So don't do this. Don't be a stream monster. Don't do it. Stream monsters are bad for the community because they carry one extremely destructive attitude, and that is this, that losing is bad. Losing isn't bad. You're going to lose a lot. Losing is only bad if you're not trying to get better. And what stream monsters do is they create a barrier for new players trying to enter the community. It's bad for people, and it slows the growth of a typically inclusive scene that has brought players together from across the world. So you don't want to let that happen. But we don't want to be too hard on Kirk. He's a recovering stream monster, and he's made a lot of progress. And someday we do hope that he'll be a positive contribution to the fighting game community. We all. Thank you for sharing with us today. We appreciate that.
Thanks, Kirk. It's great that he's at MAGFest because fortunately there are lots of opportunities here at MAGFest where you are. It's great to meet other players and get involved in this community. So whether you're just starting out, which we have a lot of people here, whether you're an experienced player or a recovering stream monster, you need to check out these parts of MAGFest. So there's a lot of cool stuff. There's the game room. Who here's been to the game room? It just opened today, right? It's super cool, right?
That's awesome.
If you haven't been, you should go. There are consoles, arcade cabinets, tons of games. You can find people playing anything, especially games like Street Fighter, anything more popular and new. Just introduce yourself, ask for a game. Everyone's super nice.
Play casuals. Don't be afraid.
Yeah,
Sit down.
just
Get
tap
next.
someone on the shoulder
Don't be worried.
and say, hey, I want to play video games.
If they're really good, then seek them out. You're going to lose a lot. You're going to learn a lot. Do
Yeah,
it.
they're super nice people here at MAGFest. There are tournaments here, lots of great tournaments. If you're in the King of Fighters tournament, you're not in this panel right now, unfortunately, because it's, or you've already lost.
How'd you do?
But there are more tournaments. There's Street Fighter, obviously, Marvel, Persona. There's a Blast Blue tournament.
There's
Also-
Skullgirls. There's Naruto Ultimate.
Ninja Storm. Yeah, a lot of them.
There's a lot.
And
So check it out. Like, don't
yeah.
be afraid. Enter tournaments. Who cares? You're not going to win. It's going to be awesome. It's
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
Even if it's intimidating, who cares? They're free, and you can just have fun. They're great.
It's true.
We all started here at MAGFest playing tournaments. Ken.
And now look at us.
Yeah. So yeah, you can find the tournament schedules on the MAGFest schedule. And a lot of people also bring their consoles to MAGFest. They set stuff up in their rooms. If you meet some of these players, try and set up some casual games with them. You can refer to their rooms. You'll know when these people have setups because they'll be called salty suites.
Look for salty sweets.
Look for salty suites.
There's a few hidden.
Yeah, you have to find them all. Question.
What room are you guys in?
That's a great question. And that's pretty much it. Thanks everybody for coming. We hope you learned a lot. We hope you enjoy the rest of the festival. And remember, if you think you can't play fighting games, remember our motto. Sure you can. Hadouken. That's close. All right. Thanks everybody. Oh yeah.